Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, thank you. My name is Janina Floodis. I am the Division Director for Risk Solutions, and I want to thank you all for coming to the Dollars and Cents, a Roof Summit. Now, I know for some of you, this may not be a sexy topic, but I can tell you the dollars are going to impact you either now or later, and that's what this presentations are going to be about today. So again, I would like to mention that this event is co-hosted with TASB Risk Management Fund and Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool. And I also would like to recognize Dubravka Romano, our Associate Executive Director. She's here, as well as Dan Troxel, who's also here. I just noticed slipped in there. And again, we really want to thank TML to be joining us in this topic. This is an issue that's hitting public entities, but it really it's hurting all businesses, but we really wanted to find a common goal and talk about roofs. I also would like to mention, we also invited, so at your table, you may have some school district people, you may have some members from Texas Municipal League, as well as we invited Texas Association of Counties. Some of their staff is here, so again, we want to thank you all for coming also. Again, this is an important thing for Texas to be learning about roof selection. Before I go to the next slide, let me also mention that this presentation is probably going to be a little different than what you're used to. This is going to be a panel-driven presentation. And the reason for that is we would like to have a conversation. We hope that we have questions, that you feel comfortable asking questions, and that's what this day is going to really be about. So again, we have put a really good panel, some experts in this field, and we're looking forward for the presentations. So I have some housekeeping items. Number one, bathrooms are right behind this door over here if you need to go, as well as we have breaks that will be scheduled. Actually, they're going to be happening in between our changing of sessions. You'll notice that we have some chairs up here, and we will be changing who will be participating. Feel free to go have a break if you need to take a phone call. We have some snacks and some water over here. And then we will be having a break for around 30 minutes for lunch. We will have a catered lunch, but we also consider it to be a working lunch. So what we're going to ask you is to go to the foyer up front to get your food and come back so we can continue this discussion. This is kind of a pint-sized presentation, meaning we're going from 10 to 3 o'clock. We have a lot of information, and we're going to be using that lunchtime to get some information to you. The other item is that we are live streaming right now. And so with that being said, I would like to ask you that if you have questions during the day, we are going to have microphones available to you to ask questions. It's important that we get that information when they're live streaming. So please be cognizant of that. We will also have this available, because we are also recording this, available after this, later on this couple of weeks, available for you to watch if you need to watch the presentation again. In addition, if you signed up for continuing education this morning, those certificates will be available after our presentation. So let's get to the foundation of why we're here. This is actually one of my favorite slides. And what this is this is a slide that the World Economic Forum put together. It is an event that happens every year in Davos, Switzerland. And there's over 2,500 leaders in the world that get together, and we're talking world leaders, business leaders, political, intellectuals, economists, and they ask them, what risks are you expecting to occur? And if you look at this, you will notice a couple of things. We have the year. So we have the years of when they asked this survey, and then we have the rankings, number 1, 2, and so forth. You will also notice that there is a color coding, meaning blue is economic, green is environmental, orange is geopolitical, red is societal, and purple is technology. Now, this slide goes back to the early 2000s. If you look at 2008, you will recognize that there was a lot of blue because we had the economic meltdown. So these are areas that, again, that these world leaders are identifying as global risk. And again, what you see is the green. We're talking about green today, extreme weather events. It kind of came up a little bit in 2015, 16, And now we're looking at what's number one. Number one, our global leaders are considering weather events, extreme weather events, to be a significant issue for countries in the worldwide events. I also think as an interesting side to that is the purple. You see a lot of purple here, and again, that's technology regarding cyber risks. This next slide is a picture of 2018's top 10 global insured loss events. This is just 2018. There are a couple things I'd like for you to focus on. One is, first of all, fires. We have the November, both of these fires are the deadliest that we have ever had in California. And also look at the dollar. It is the #1 insured event in just 2018. That is very significant. We've never had, if you think about hurricanes, and we even have hurricanes in this slide here, we have Hurricane Michael. Hurricane Michael is a Category 5 hurricane. We haven't had a Category 5 since Andrew in 1992. So Camp Fire loss in California, again, was deadly, but it also cost a lot of dollars. The other thing I'd like for you to keep in mind here is these are the top 10 global events, and if you count these up, 6 of them are in the United States. Let me also mention, look at the dollars, and we're going to keep on talking about dollars and why that's important. This next slide is a slide going back to 2000, and here on the left-hand side are the number of events, and this is a number of billion-dollar events going back to 2000. We also have it color-coded. What I'd like for you to focus in on are the severe weather, which is gray, and tropical cyclone. And I say that because that actually is hurricanes. We all love to talk about names in the hurricanes because that's what we can connect to. But if you look at this slide, there is some yellow, and again, we look at 2004, 2005. I'm sure we all are very familiar with Rita and Katrina and Wilma happening here. We have Ike and Dolly and Gustav. But look at the gray. We have a lot of severe weather. And again, these are number of billion-dollar events. Again, you see the trend going upward, and again, the events happening here. So if you look at this, if you look at from 2000 to 2009 and count the number of billion-dollar events, there are approximately 42 billion-dollar events in that 10-year period. If you then count from 2010 to 2018, you now have 76. So it's not, and that's a 9-year period, and we're already doubling the number of billion-dollar insured events. And I keep on focusing on insured because what does that mean? Someone's paying dollars out for those losses. Again, this is just another way of looking at the gray in the previous slide, which again is convective storms. So again, this would include thunderstorms, severe flooding, hail, and other events. This is the dollars spent going back to 1980 to 2018. Again, you look at the trend going upwards. The green is economic, so these are losses that maybe are not insured. Again, that would be something like cities or sewer or some bridges that are maybe not insured. You don't insure a bridge, and so the county or the city has to pay for some of that. The state may have to pay for that. Focusing again on the purple or the dark blue is the insured amounts. So again, and just so you know, I believe that 2011 is flooding in the Missouri area, which is what's causing that big spike. So, what have I told you? What have I shown you? Weather in the United States is not doing well at all. These are headlines recently from this summer. And so thinking about this, there's some comments here. We have about Aon talking about billions of dollars costing them. As an insurance company, what you'd like to do is insure a good risk. You collect premiums and you expect to pay them, but you're going to pay them on good risk. What you're seeing here is that they're paying out more dollars than they're collecting. And it's impacting your reinsurers. And again, that's going to impact what you're going to be charged for insurance. And again, we're Texas, number one. So here I go. I usually mention this. I'm a big sports fan. either a Dallas Cowboys or the Texans, but after seeing this past weekend, I guess I'm a Cowboy fan and not a Texans fan. Ironically, I think it's funny that we have Texas in burnt orange here. I'm not sure how that happened. Wait, there's going to be maroon later on. I will let you know, there's more maroon later on. But I do want to focus again, when we're talking about catastrophes, what we're talking about is events that cost $25 million or more on just property losses. So again, we look at this all the way here and look where we are. We are number one. Not really a place that we want to be in Texas. So now we're going to talk about hail. So again, we've been talking globally about weather, we talked about storms, and now we're being specific to hail because that's really one of the issue we're going to talk about today. This is a slide going back to 1955, going to 2018. We distinguish between pre-Doppler radar and post, and you see the annual growth. These are the number of events. So again, we see this going up. When we talk about 2-inch or larger hail, we're talking about 2-inch in diameter. That's kind of, everybody's like, well, what does 2 inches look like? Okay, I really don't know exactly what 2 inches looks like, but what I can tell you is that it's a little bit, a golf ball is around 1 3/4, and a baseball is around 2 3/4. So it's kind of in between that size. And another thing, just so you know, a little factoid if you're interested, when hail is falling down, it depends on the size of how fast it's falling. If it is a baseball-size hail, it is coming down at approximately 100 miles per hour. So if you think about that, that's a lot of damage on cars, on windshields, and in homes. So we continue to see the trend going up. And again, the size is getting larger. So here we go back to who's number one. We are number one in hail. This is probably not an area, again, that we want to be number one in. The other thing I'd like to mention, we've been talking about dollars going out the door. What's been happening in Texas? We've been seeing a lot of growth. A lot of people are moving here. We have great economy. And so what happens when people come here? We have cars that they're driving. We have more cars on the road. We have more buildings. We have more schools. We have more city structures. And we have more property where damage can occur. So again, when we talk about hail being number one, yes, hail is happening. The other part of that is Texas is also building out, which is costing dollars when insurance companies come to our door and saying, we're going to have to raise your rates. This is one of the other items or components of it. So this leads to the perfect storm. So FM Global is an insurance company focusing on property insurance. They actually focus on loss prevention. They have a lot of engineers, and what they did is they mapped the whole United States based on data they received on the size of hail and how often it hails. And what we did is, because we're Texas, I didn't put the rest of the United States because it just matters about us. And if you will also notice, I have maroon for some other people here in Texas that might like the maroon color. But I will want you to notice that, first of all, the whole state, we're going to get hail. We're looking at a moderate size, so down in the Brownsville area, that's less than 1 3/4 inches. But what we're also looking at is where is it hailing and how big the hail is coming. And from this FM Global map, again, we are going to talk a lot about hail resistancy. And FM Global has an FM approval method where they have tested material to see how hail reacts to certain types of material and to see how resistant it is. We're going to talk a lot more about that today, but I want you to keep this picture in mind when you're looking at selecting a roof, what your roof should be able to handle. And so with that said, we're going to be going to our next session, and David and Troy will go ahead and start that up.
Thank you, Janina. My name is David Nix, and I'll be one of your moderators today. And I am the Assistant Claims Manager in charge of property claims with the TML Risk Pool, which for the folks here with the schools, we take care of the cities like TASB takes care of y'all. We have about 2,800 members, so we see a few claims with hail. And I will tell you, we're very happy to put this panel on for you today.